Two racist white cops arrest black woman, unaware she is a special FBI agent. Officer Dale Trenton stood outside the convenience store on the corner of Main and Franklin. With his thumbs hooked through his belt and mirrored aviators perched on his nose, he squinted at the intersection like it owed him something. Beside him stood Officer Rick Mallory, leaner but with the same air of disdain. Both had a reputation in town, an unspoken one. They smiled at their neighbors, called older women ma'am, and waved at kids, but black folks learned early to steer clear. Dale and Rick didn't take kindly to anyone who looked out of place. At 3:17 p.m., a black Chevy Impala pulled into the gas station, its windows tinted to the legal limit. The engine gave a soft growl as it shut off. The woman who stepped out wasn't from Pine Ridge. That much was obvious. She wore a fitted blazer over a plain black tee, dark jeans, and boots polished enough to reflect the sun. Her walk was purposeful, and her eyes scanned the lot once before heading inside the store. Rick nudged Dale, nodding toward her. "City girl," he muttered. Dale sneered. "Damn right. Bet she thinks she's too good for this place." Inside, the woman picked up a bottle of water, glanced at a newspaper rack, and approached the register. The clerk, an older man with a stained apron, gave a polite nod but said nothing. She paid in cash, nodded once, and turned to leave. That's when Dale moved. "Hold up," he said loudly, just as she stepped through the automatic doors. She paused, eyebrows raised. "Something I can help you with?" Rick joined his partner, hand resting casually on his holstered Glock. "ID," he said flatly. The woman frowned. "Excuse me?" "You heard him," Dale snapped. "ID? You're not from around here and we've had some break-ins lately." Her jaw tightened. "Buying water is probable cause now?" Rick smirked. "Let's just see the ID, lady. Don't make it hard." She hesitated. There were rules to these situations. She had worked too hard, shed too much blood, to blow her cover now. Calmly, she reached into her back pocket and handed over her driver's license. Dale snatched it and squinted at the name. "Monica Hayes, Baltimore," he said slowly. Rick leaned over, reading the address. "Baltimore, that's a long way from home." Monica kept her tone measured. "I'm traveling for work. Is that a problem?" Dale stepped closer, close enough for her to smell his breath. "Depends on what kind of work you do, sweetheart." Monica's fingers itched to reach into her inside jacket pocket, where her credentials lay. But she had been taught, never flash your badge unless it's necessary. And right now, these two were fishing for a reaction. Still, her patience was thinning. "I'm a federal consultant," she said coolly. "On assignment." Rick gave a barking laugh. "Consultant? That's cute." Without warning, Dale spun her around and yanked her arms behind her back. "Hands behind your back. You're under arrest for obstruction." "What?" she barked, struggling. "Let go, I haven't done anything." "Resisting now?" Rick mocked, pulling out cuffs. Should have just showed a little respect. By now, a small group had gathered near the pumps. A middle-aged black couple stood by their van, frozen in place. A teenage boy watched from his bike, wide-eyed. No one spoke, no one dared. Monica clenched her jaw. Her training told her not to escalate, but the rage building in her chest was hard to choke down. The cuffs snapped shut. "You're making a huge mistake," she said darkly. Rick leaned in close. "I think the mistake was yours, sweetheart." They shoved her into the back of the squad car, slamming the door behind her. Dale sauntered to the driver's side, laughing. Rick climbed in beside her. Monica sat upright, wrists chafing from the steel, but her mind was already racing. They didn't run her ID through dispatch. They didn't even call it in. Amateurs? She shifted slightly, enough to press her back against the seat in a deliberate pattern. The concealed transmitter embedded in her inner jacket lining had a fail-safe, 3 presses, a pause, then 2 more. It was low frequency, hard to detect, but enough to alert HQ that a field agent was compromised. The squad car rumbled to life and pulled away. "Where are we taking her?" Rick asked. "Back road," Dale said. "You know the trail behind the old grain mill? She wants to play hardball. We'll play harder." Monica's pulse quickened. This wasn't routine. They drove 10 minutes in silence, veering off the paved roads and onto gravel. Dust clouded behind them. Monica counted trees, signs, everything. She was trained for this. Finally, the car stopped near a wooded clearing. Dale yanked the door open. "Out," he barked. She stepped out slowly, watching his eyes. "You're violating federal law," she warned. "You need to release me now," Rick chuckled. "Lady, we don't care who you are. You think you can mouth off just because you're from the city?" "I think you're about to find out exactly who I am," she said coldly. Dale raised a hand to shove her again, but she moved fast. In one fluid motion, she dropped her weight, spun, and kicked his knee out from under him. He howled and hit the gravel. Rick reached for his gun. Too late. Monica twisted, slammed him against the car door, and knocked his weapon from his hand. She grabbed it mid-air, keeping it trained on both men. "Hands where I can see them," she ordered. Both officers stared at her in disbelief. "You just assaulted 2 officers," Dale grunted from the ground. "I'm a federal agent," she snapped. "You assaulted me. And backup is already on its way." They didn't believe her, but they would soon. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today and what time you are currently watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. The clearing was dead quiet except for the wind stirring through the trees and Dale's ragged breathing as he writhed on the ground. Monica stood her ground, legs planted, Rick's pistol steady in her hands. Her pulse was elevated, but her grip didn't shake. She'd been in tighter situations than this, just never in her own country, with men who wore the same badge she once thought meant justice. "Move 1 inch and I'll drop you," she warned, eyes bouncing between Dale, now crawling slowly toward the edge of the woods, and Rick, who still hadn't raised his hands. Rick narrowed his eyes. "This is going to go bad for you." "No," Monica replied firmly. "It's about to go very bad for both of you." Behind her, the sound of crunching tires approached. She tilted her head slightly without breaking focus. A black SUV rolled down the gravel trail, stopping a good 20 feet away. Its tinted windows gave away nothing. For a half-second, Dale and Rick seemed to think backup had arrived for them. The driver's door opened, and a tall black man in tactical pants and a collared polo stepped out. He didn't look like local law enforcement. He looked sharper, leaner, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses, mouth set in a firm line. Monica lowered the gun slightly. Right on time. The man gave her a subtle nod, then turned to the 2 officers. "My name is Agent Jalen Price. I'm with the FBI." Rick's mouth fell open. "FBI?" Dale tried to sit up, confused. "What the hell is this?" Monica tossed the gun aside with no fear. Jalen walked up, pulled out a small badge case, and flipped it open just long enough to be unmistakable. "I received an emergency signal from Agent Hayes," Jalen said. "We tracked her GPS to this location. You 2 are in serious trouble." "She assaulted us," Rick snapped, his voice climbing. "She jumped us for no reason." Jalen raised one eyebrow. "Did she now? You arrested a federal agent without cause, transported her to an unapproved location, and didn't file a single radio call." He glanced at Monica. "You okay?" She nodded once. "They didn't even check my ID with dispatch?" "I think they were planning to dump me out here and teach me a lesson." Rick looked like he'd swallowed glass. Dale was sitting up now, brushing dust off his pants with trembling hands. "You're making a big mistake," Dale muttered. Jalen moved closer, towering over him. "You made the mistake. All we're doing is cleaning it up." Jalen pulled out a hand radio and pressed the side. "Unit 5 to Alpha Base. We've secured the agent. Bring in backup. 2 hostile suspects. No further threats at the scene." "Copy that," came the voice on the other end. Rick's voice shook. You're with the FBI? She's really an agent?" Monica stepped forward now, brushing gravel off her knees. "Special Agent Monica Hayes, Counterintelligence Division. I've handled arms trafficking in Eastern Europe, terrorist cells in West Africa, and cyber forensics in D.C. But I come to a small southern town to take a break and buy water, and you treat me like a criminal because of how I look." Dale stared at her, lost for words. Just then, more vehicles rolled down the gravel, 2 more black SUVs, followed by a Pine Ridge patrol car. Inside the local cruiser was Sergeant Raymond Pike, an older white officer with gray hair and a steady jaw. He stepped out, slowly taking in the scene. "What's going on here?" Pike asked, voice rough with confusion. Monica pointed. "Your officers arrested me without cause, didn't log the arrest, didn't run my ID, and brought me out here alone." Pike looked at Dale and Rick, his face unreadable. "Is this true?" Rick's eyes darted around, panic rising. "We thought she was suspicious." She didn't cooperate. Jalen stepped between them. You need to make a call to your captain. Right now, these men are facing multiple charges. Pike glanced at Monica. Are you really Bureau? She walked over to her Impala, opened the driver's side, and retrieved a black leather case from the glove compartment. Flipping it open, she showed him the official federal credentials. His eyes dropped to the seal, then flicked back to her. I'll make the call, he said quietly. As Pike stepped away to radio in, the mood shifted. Rick was pale, sweating heavily. Dale sat quietly on the dirt, lips tight. They both understood now. This wasn't going to be brushed off. They had stepped into something much bigger than their little world of control and intimidation. Monica turned to Jalen. Thanks for coming. I didn't want to use the emergency trigger, but they were getting unpredictable. You did the right thing, he said. This isn't over. Internal Affairs is coming down from Baton Rouge, and they've already flagged the department for review. She nodded but didn't relax, not yet. I wasn't even on assignment. I was just stopping for water. Jalen gave a dry chuckle. No such thing as off-duty when you're us. Minutes later, another federal team arrived, this time in tactical gear. They took Dale and Rick into custody without incident. No resistance left in them. Pike stepped aside, watching the scene like he was seeing his department through new eyes. Monica sat on the back bumper of her Impala, sipping the bottle of water she had bought before everything exploded. It was warm now, but she didn't care. She looked at the sun dipping low through the trees. For a moment it was quiet, but not peaceful. Jalen leaned against the SUV beside her. You could have drawn your badge right away. Why didn't you? She shrugged. Because I wanted to see how far they'd go. And they went too far. He nodded, thoughtful. You still want to stick around Pine Ridge? He asked. Monica looked at the woods around them, then the distant lights of town in the west. No, she said softly, but I'm not leaving yet either. The next morning in Pine Ridge started the same as always. The sun rose slow over the trees, birds chirped lazily, and people lined up at Joni's diner for their morning coffee. But under the surface, the town was already buzzing. Word had spread fast. 2 of their own officers arrested a black woman who turned out to be FBI, and not just FBI special agent. Monica sat in a motel room on the edge of town, the curtains drawn halfway. The room was modest, faded carpet, humming mini fridge, and a faint smell of bleach, but it was quiet. She stood in front of the mirror, carefully pulling her hair back into a tight ponytail. Her jaw was clenched, not from nerves, but from the restless energy that came after being disrespected. There was a knock at the door. She grabbed her sidearm off the nightstand and kept it low behind her leg as she opened the door. It was Jalen holding 2 cups of gas station coffee. Still paranoid? He asked with a slight grin. Not paranoid, she replied, prepared. He stepped in and set the coffee on the dresser. You sleep at all? Monica shook her head. Barely. I kept thinking, how many others did they do this to before me? Jalen nodded slowly. We might get the answer to that. Internal Affairs is pulling records on Dale and Rick. Turns out there are already 3 filed complaints. None of them went anywhere. That's no surprise, Monica muttered, sipping the bitter coffee. How deep does this go? That's what I want to find out. And I think you should stick around. Monica looked at him. You think this is bigger than just 2 racist cops? He didn't say anything right away. Then he reached into a folder he had tucked under his arm and handed her a photo. It showed Rick and Dale standing in front of a truck, arm in arm with a man in a leather vest marked with a red eagle emblem. That guy looked familiar, Jalen asked. Monica squinted. He's not law enforcement. Nope, that's Cole Weller. He's suspected of running illegal weapons through the southeast, but he's slippery. Never caught red-handed. Been on our watch list for over a year. Her eyes narrowed. You think the cops were working with him? I think it's possible, Jalen said. And guess what? Weller was spotted 3 days ago just 10 miles outside of Pine Ridge. Now she understood. This wasn't just a case of 2 bad officers drunk on power. Something deeper was rotting the system here. Where do we start? She asked. There's a bar on the edge of town. Weller's been known to stop there. Locals say it's where people go to make deals when they don't want eyes on them. Monica grabbed her jacket and clipped her badge inside the breast pocket. Let's pay them a visit. The bar was called the Broken Spur, a low-roofed, wood-paneled joint with a dirt parking lot and a cracked neon sign flickering out the word beer. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette smoke and stale sweat. 3 old men played pool in the back while a country song hummed through dusty speakers. Monica and Jalen walked in side by side, moving with confidence. A few heads turned, but no one said anything. The bartender, a heavy-set man with a long beard, gave them a long stare. "What'll it be?" he asked, voice flat. Monica leaned forward slightly. "We're looking for Cole Weller. You seen him?" The man didn't flinch. "Name doesn't ring a bell." Jalen pulled out his badge, let it flash once, then tucked it away. "We're not playing games," he said. The bartender gave a slow shrug. "Lots of people come through here." Monica scanned the room. One of the pool players, a wiry man in a denim vest, had stopped mid-shot. He was watching them too carefully. She whispered, "I've got something." "Guy in the back," Jalen nodded. They approached the table just as the man set his cue down. "Afternoon," Monica said casually. "You look like someone who hears things." The man looked nervous now. "Depends on who's asking." "Federal agents," Jalen replied. "We're asking nicely, for now." The man swallowed. "I don't know no Cole Weller." "But you know someone who does," Monica said, her tone sharper now. "Look, we're not here to make your life harder. But if you're protecting a man running guns, you're part of the problem." The man hesitated. His eyes darted toward the bartender, then back. "He don't come here often," the man finally said. "But when he does, it's always around back. No one sees him inside. Deals in the lot." "What kind of deals?" "Don't know details. But it ain't groceries, I'll tell you that." Monica stepped closer. "When's the last time you saw him?" "2 nights ago." She and Jalen exchanged a glance. "You've been helpful," Jalen said, tossing a card on the table. "If you see him again, you call that number. First ring." As they walked out of the bar, the air outside felt cooler. "We've got to find Weller before he leaves town," Monica said. "We need more eyes," Jalen added. "I'll pull some surveillance drones from Baton Rouge." They climbed into the SUV. Just as Monica shut the passenger door, a gunshot rang out loud close. "Down!" Jalen shouted, grabbing the wheel. Another shot smashed the rear window. Glass exploded into the back seat. Monica ducked and drew her pistol, scanning the tree line behind the bar. "There," she pointed. A figure in a black hoodie was sprinting toward the woods, rifle in hand. Jalen floored the SUV, tires kicking up dust and gravel as he veered toward the trail. "Hang on," Monica popped open the glove box, yanked out a compact SMG, and readied it. The vehicle bounced violently on the dirt road as they closed in on the shooter. Jalen kept one hand on the wheel, the other reaching for the dash-mounted radio. "This is Agent Price. Shots fired near Broken Spur Bar. Suspect on foot, armed, pursuing westbound on Forest Trail. Request immediate backup." The man ahead disappeared into a tight cluster of trees. Monica opened her door slightly, bracing herself. "I'm going after him on foot." "Be careful." She jumped out while the SUV was still rolling and took off at a sprint, weapon drawn, ducking low beneath branches, dirt flying under her boots. The chase was on. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today and what time you are currently watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Monica's boots slammed against the uneven trail as she chased the shooter into the woods. The trees were dense, the ground slippery with damp leaves, but she kept moving, faster, tighter. Her training took over, no wasted motion. She ducked under low branches and dodged rocks without slowing. The man ahead of her was fast, but he wasn't trained. He made noise, broke twigs. He turned back once to see if she was still there, and that was his mistake. Monica raised her weapon and fired one clean shot at the ground just inches from his heels. "Drop it now," she shouted. The shooter didn't stop. Instead, he turned slightly and fired a round over his shoulder. The bullet whizzed past her, striking a tree. Monica didn't flinch. She kept pushing forward. "I will shoot to stop you," she warned. The man cut left, jumping down a steep ridge. He slipped halfway down, tumbling through mud and dead leaves. Monica took the same path, sliding fast, one hand bracing her fall. She landed on her feet and raised her gun. The shooter had scrambled behind a fallen log, struggling to reload. Monica moved before he could react. She crossed the space in 3 strides, kicked the weapon out of his hands, and pressed her knee into his back. "Hands behind your head," she barked. He froze, breathing hard. I said, "Hands behind your head." He obeyed, and Monica cuffed him in seconds. Jalen arrived seconds later, out of breath, gun drawn. "You okay?" "Got him," she said, standing and dragging the man to his feet. "He's not Weller, but he's connected." Jalen looked the man over, young, maybe 22, wearing cargo pants and a camo hoodie, with a shaky attitude that screamed amateur. "Who sent you?" Jalen asked. The man didn't answer. "You know what happens when you shoot at federal agents?" Monica said calmly. "You're done. Now you can either talk to us or talk to a federal judge. Pick one." The man looked between them, scared. His voice cracked. "I didn't mean to shoot. I was just told to scare you off." "By who?" Jalen pressed. "I don't know his full name. They call him Red." He said the black lady was sniffing around too much and needed a warning. Monica raised an eyebrow. "Where's Red now?" The man hesitated. "He runs a place on the edge of town, old auto garage." "But you didn't hear that from me." Monica and Jalen exchanged a look. "Let's get him in," she said, "and then we pay Red a visit." Back at the sheriff's office, the mood was icy. Pike stood at the front door as Monica and Jalen brought in the suspect. His eyes went from the handcuffed man to the scratched-up agents. "What happened?" "He fired at us behind the broken spur," Monica said calmly. "Says he was sent by someone named Red." Pike looked grim. "That'd be Red Darnell. He runs that busted garage off Highway 12. Everyone around here knows he's dirty, but we've never caught him with anything." "You will now," Jalen said. "We're going there tonight." "Do you want backup?" Pike asked. Monica didn't answer right away. She still wasn't sure who to trust. Jalen stepped in. "We'll handle it with our team." Quietly. Pike nodded. "Just say the word if it goes sideways." They left the suspect in custody with 2 bureau agents posted outside the holding room and headed back to their SUV. Night was falling fast now, bringing a cool breeze that stirred the trees. Inside the vehicle, Jalen tapped a code into a secure tablet. "I'm sending the location to the tactical unit. They'll meet us 2 miles out and sweep in on command." Monica loaded her handgun and slipped extra rounds into her belt. "Let's finish this." The garage was dark, except for a flickering fluorescent light above the office door. The building looked abandoned, rusty metal siding, busted windows, and a sign that said Darnell Auto Repairs barely clinging to one hinge. But it wasn't abandoned, not tonight. Monica, Jalen, and 4 tactical agents crouched behind a row of bushes across the street. They had eyes on the front and back. "There's movement inside," whispered one of the agents. 2 men armed, no sign of Weller or Red yet. Jalen spoke quietly into his comms. "Team Bravo, sweep the rear. We breach on my count." Monica felt the tight press of adrenaline again, but it was a sharp, focused energy. She didn't fear situations like this. She thrived in them. "On my mark," Jalen said. 3, 2, 1, go. 2 agents sprinted silently to the back. Monica led the front entry team. She kicked the front door open with one solid strike. FBI hands in the air. A man at a metal table jumped up and reached for a pistol. Monica fired 1 shot into his shoulder. He screamed and fell, the gun clattering away. Jalen and another agent swept the right side. "Clear." From the back, shouts and more shots echoed through the building. Then, "Suspect down, 1 detained." Monica moved deeper into the garage. It was packed with half-stripped cars, crates, and stacks of tires. She checked corners, eyes sharp. In the corner, a steel door led to a smaller office. She kicked it open. Inside was Red Darnell, bald, mid-50s, wearing a grease-stained shirt and holding a sawed-off shotgun. He pointed it directly at her. "Don't come closer," he growled. "Drop it," Monica said firmly. "This is your only warning." "You think I'm scared of a badge?" Red snarled. "I got more friends than you got bullets. I've got enough bullets to end this right now." He didn't back down. Jalen stepped in behind her. "You don't want to do this, Red. You're not walking out of here either way. But you get to pick the condition." Red blinked. Then he dropped the gun. Monica moved in fast, kicked the weapon away, and cuffed him against the desk. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit assault on a federal agent, attempted murder, and illegal arms trafficking." Red looked up with a sneer. "You don't even know half of what's going on in this town." Monica leaned in close. "No, but I'm about to. By 2 a.m., the garage was crawling with agents. Inside one of the locked crates, they found assault rifles, unmarked ammo, and hand-drawn maps of gun routes through small-town sheriff jurisdictions, including Pine Ridge. Jalen stood over the maps, eyebrows low. They've been using local cops to move weapons across state lines. And Dale and Rick were right in the middle of it, Monica said quietly. This whole town's infected. We just found something bigger than we expected, Jalen muttered. Monica's expression hardened. Then we dig until we rip out every root. The following morning, the sky over Pine Ridge was gray and heavy with clouds. It hadn't rained yet, but the air felt thick, like the town itself knew something was about to break. Monica stood in front of the old auto garage, watching agents pack up the last of the confiscated weapons into unmarked bureau vans. The place was sealed now. Crime scene tape flapped in the wind. Behind her, Jalen flipped through a small notebook filled with scribbled names, dates, and codes they had pulled from Red Darnell's desk drawer. His expression was dark. 6 drop points, he said. And all of them line up with patrol zones controlled by dirty cops across 3 counties. Monica shook her head. They've been running this like a business. Not just a business, Jalen muttered. A network. At that moment, Agent Davis, one of the tech analysts from Baton Rouge, came jogging over with a USB stick. You're going to want to see this, he said, handing it to Jalen. What is it? Monica asked. Security footage from a hard drive we recovered in Red's office. They had cameras in here. You were right to think Dale and Rick were involved. They're in the footage. A lot? Jalen plugged the drive into a field laptop sitting on the SUV hood. Monica leaned in beside him as the footage played. There they were, Dale and Rick, laughing, shaking hands with Red, accepting envelopes, inspecting rifles. Monica's jaw clenched. They weren't just helping, she said. They were managing this thing. And hiding behind the badge to do it, Jalen added. Just then, a message came over Jalen's radio. Agent Price, we've got something. One of Red's men is talking. Put him through, Jalen said. There was a short pause, then the line opened. A nervous voice came on. This is Mike Sanders. I used to run crates for Red. I want a deal. What do you have? Jalen asked. I know where Weller is, and I know what he's planning. Monica's ears perked up. She stepped closer to the radio. Go on, she said. He's leaving town tonight, heading toward the state line, but he's not going quietly. He's got a warehouse near the mill road, full of gear. He's planning on torching everything and running. Jalen glanced at Monica. Location? I'll drop a pin, but you have to protect me. If he finds out I talked, you'll get protection, Monica said quickly. Send the location now. A minute later, the pin hit Monica's phone. She zoomed in. It's off County Route 9. That's barely 5 miles from the town's south edge. Jalen called it in. This is Agent Price. We have a confirmed lead on Cole Weller's location. Preparing to engage. Backup requested. Copy that, came the response. Units en route. They jumped into the SUV and sped off. The warehouse sat at the edge of an old lumber yard, surrounded by brush and rusted fencing. From a distance it looked abandoned, but as they crept closer, they spotted movement, men in dark clothes unloading crates from a truck into the building. Jalen parked behind a stand of trees. Monica pulled out binoculars. 4 men outside. Armed. Could be more inside. We'll flank them, Jalen said. 2 from the front, 2 around the side. No loud entry. We don't want them torching anything. Monica and Agent Reyes took the left. Jalen and another agent took the right. They moved like shadows through the grass. Monica crouched behind a shipping crate, eyes fixed on the guard posted near the entrance. He held an AK-style rifle lazily across his chest, attention split between the woods and his cigarette. Reyes whispered, You want the take? I've got him, Monica said. She moved swiftly, staying low, using the rusted dumpster as cover. When she was close enough, she lunged, grabbed the rifle barrel, twisted hard, and elbowed him across the jaw. He dropped like a sack of bricks. Reyes dragged the body behind cover. Gunfire suddenly erupted from the far side. Jalen's team had engaged. Monica sprang to her feet and stormed the front entrance. Inside, 2 men were scrambling for their weapons. She didn't hesitate. 2 shots, center mass. 1 dropped. The second fired back blindly, hitting a crate and sending splinters flying. Monica ducked and returned fire, one clean shot to the thigh, sending him crashing into a wall. "Clear left," she shouted. Jalen's voice echoed. "Clear right." They moved deeper into the warehouse. Monica spotted something glowing behind a stack of oil drums, red blinking lights. Jalen, bomb, they rushed over. A basic timer rigged to an ignition coil sat on top of a drum labeled fuel grade. 3 minutes, Jalen said. "We can't defuse it here." "We need to move it," Monica said. Together, they hoisted the device carefully, taking it outside. Jalen spotted a small trench behind the loading dock. "Drop it in there now." They tossed the device in and jumped behind the dock wall. Boom. The explosion was loud but contained. Smoke and dirt sprayed into the sky, but the warehouse was intact. Monica stood, coughing slightly. "That was close," Jalen nodded. "Too close." Just then, a figure dashed from the woods behind the warehouse, tall, scruffy, moving fast. "It's Weller," Monica shouted. They gave chase. Weller cut through the brush, heading toward an old pickup parked near the fence. Monica ran full speed, gaining on him. He yanked the door open, reaching inside for something. She fired a warning shot, hit the hood of the truck. "Don't even think about it," she yelled. Weller turned furious. "You're the one who blew my operation." "You're the one who built it on corruption," she snapped back. He lunged toward the truck, pulling out a sawed-off shotgun. Monica didn't wait. She shot him in the shoulder. He dropped the weapon and hit the ground hard, groaning in pain. Jalen arrived seconds later, cuffing him with practiced speed. "You're under arrest, Cole Weller," he said. "Gun trafficking, conspiracy, attempted murder, obstruction, you name it, we've got it." Weller gritted his teeth. "You don't get it. I'm not the only one." Monica stood over him, breathing hard. "Oh, we're just getting started." By nightfall, Weller was in custody and the warehouse was sealed off. The weapons were secured, the rest of his crew processed. But Monica knew this was far from over. She stood under the street lamp beside the Bureau SUV, sweat drying on her skin, face dirty from the chase. Jalen walked over. "We cracked it wide open. Your arrest wasn't random. They were checking if you were a threat." "You were?" Monica looked back at the shadows beyond the fence. "Now I want everyone behind this. Every name, every badge, every dollar." Jalen nodded. "Then let's keep digging." Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today and what time you are currently watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. 2 days later, Pine Ridge wasn't the same quiet town it used to be. Federal vehicles were everywhere. Black SUVs parked on side streets. Helicopters hovered low in the early morning light. And the locals, most of them just regular people trying to get by, stood on their porches watching it all unfold, wondering what had been going on right under their noses. Monica stood in the sheriff's department's main briefing room. A large corkboard filled one wall, cluttered with photos, maps, names, and red string tying it all together. At the center of everything were 3 faces: Dale Trenton, Rick Mallory, and Cole Weller. "This is the full structure," Agent Davis said, pointing at the board. Weller was the head, but he wasn't working alone. "We've identified at least 7 officers across 3 towns working with him, moving crates, clearing traffic stops, feeding him intel." Monica looked around the room. "Any evidence connecting the local leadership? Mayor, captain, city council?" "We're working on it," Davis said. "We tapped Weller's phone last night. His contacts go deeper than we thought. He was paying off more than just cops, city contractors, a judge in Bayford, even a school board member." Jalen, who had been quietly scanning a list of names on his tablet, looked up. This wasn't just a side hustle, it was an operation. "Dale and Rick?" Monica asked. "In federal holding, they've both lawyered up. Dale's not talking, but Rick's already asking for a deal." Monica nodded. "We let him talk. He knows things." At that moment, Pike stepped into the room, hat in his hands. His expression was heavy. "I just got back from a town council meeting," he said. "They're panicking. Most of them had no clue what was going on, but there's one name you need to look into: Weller's cousin, Jeff Colson. Runs a construction company here. Contracts all over the parish." Monica walked up to the board and scribbled the name, Jeff Colson. "Let me guess," she said. "He owns trucks, controls the roads, and no one's ever searched his lots?" Pike nodded. "He's slippery. You need a warrant and fast." Noted, Jalen said, already texting someone. Monica turned back to Pike. You still clean? He met her eyes. I don't want any part of this mess. You tell me what you need, and I'll do it. Good, she said. Then start pulling records on every traffic stop Dale and Rick ever made. We're going to track every crate that moved through this town. That afternoon, Monica and Jalen rolled up to Colson's construction lot just outside the city limits. The place looked harmless, men in hard hats, forklifts, piles of gravel. But Monica knew better than to trust appearances. They met Jeff Colson near the main office. He was tall, tan, and walked like someone who didn't expect to be questioned. Can I help you? He asked, wiping his hands with a rag. Federal agents, Jalen said, flashing his badge. We have a few questions. About what? About your trucks, your storage lots, your relationship to Cole Weller. Jeff laughed. My cousin's an idiot. I haven't spoken to him in years. Monica tilted her head. Strange. We have phone records showing you talked to him 4 days ago. Jeff's face twitched slightly. I want a lawyer, he said quickly. You'll get one, Monica replied. After we finish searching your property. You have a warrant? We do now, Jalen said, holding up a fresh printout. Jeff didn't say another word as agents began sweeping through the storage containers near the rear lot. Within 15 minutes, they found what they were looking for, 2 sealed crates packed with tactical gear, unregistered firearms, and large envelopes of cash. Jalen opened one and held it up. That's enough to bury him. Monica looked at the crates, then at the clipboard one of the workers had left nearby. Her eyes locked on a handwritten list of delivery dates. This is a schedule, she said. There's another drop tonight. Jalen leaned over her shoulder. Different location? Yeah. Says Hickory Trail, 3 a.m. Monica's pulse quickened. That's remote, real remote. They're planning one last move, Jalen said. We can't let that happen, Monica nodded. Then we get there first. At 2:45 a.m., Monica, Jalen, and 2 federal strike teams positioned themselves in the woods along Hickory Trail. The area was dead quiet, no wind, no crickets, just the faint hum of tension. They wore black tactical gear, night vision ready, radios silent. At 3:02 a.m., headlights appeared through the trees. A convoy of 3 trucks rolled in, lights off, moving slow. Behind them, 2 sedans pulled up and parked near a small shack. Monica whispered into her mic, target confirmed. No move yet. Inside the first truck, they spotted a familiar face, one of Weller's former drivers. Another opened the shack door and wheeled out a dolly stacked with crates. Now, Jalen said quietly. Monica moved first, gliding through the trees with her team. FBI freeze, everything exploded into motion. Men scattered. One of the drivers tried to run back to the truck, but Monica caught him and tackled him hard. Jalen ducked behind a log and returned fire when one of the guards shot at them from behind a crate. Shooter east side, someone shouted. Monica crawled through thick brush and flanked the shooter. One quick move, a shot to the leg, and he was down. All around, agents swarmed the scene. Tires spun in the dirt as one of the trucks tried to flee, but a Bureau SUV blocked the road just in time. Within minutes, it was over. 8 men arrested. 4 crates recovered. 3 weapons seized. No casualties. As the suspects were lined up in handcuffs under floodlights, Monica walked past them slowly. One of them, a tall man with tattoos, spit at the ground and said, "You ruined everything." "No," Monica said, locking eyes with him. "I exposed it." Back at the sheriff's office just before dawn, Monica stood alone in the hallway, looking at a row of old black and white photos, past sheriffs, deputies, town fairs, a long line of history. Some of it good, some rotten to the core. Jalen approached quietly. "You're not sleeping again, are you?" She shook her head. "Not yet. There's still more." He nodded. "But it's working. We've locked down every part of the ring. All that's left is the paperwork and the fallout." Monica glanced down the hallway where a young rookie deputy was typing up reports. Clean, new to the force, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Then let's make sure the right people take over when we leave," she said. "This place deserves better." Monica stood before the courtroom, her posture straight, eyes fixed ahead. The federal courthouse in Baton Rouge was packed, journalists in the back row, legal clerks scribbling in notepads, and a full jury seated on the left. Across the room, Rick and Dale sat with their lawyers. looking worn down and smaller than they had ever looked in uniform. The judge entered and called the room to order. Monica was the first witness. She stepped up to the stand, placed her hand on the Bible, and gave her oath. The prosecution began. Agent Hayes, can you explain to the jury the events that led to the arrest of these two defendants? Her voice was calm, clear, and direct. Yes, sir. On the evening of May 4th, I was wrongfully detained by officers Dale Trenton and Rick Mallory in Pine Ridge, Louisiana. I was not charged, not processed, and was transported to an unmarked location against my will. These men never checked my identification, ignored my credentials, and were carrying out actions that went far beyond any legal authority they had. One of the jurors raised his eyebrows. And what was the motive for this unlawful arrest? The prosecutor asked. Monica didn't flinch. They thought I was a threat, not because I was doing anything illegal, but because I was a black woman who didn't respond the way they expected. They arrested me based on appearance, not evidence. She went on to describe the weapon trafficking network they uncovered, the warehouses, the hidden money trails, and the involvement of Weller and his crew. The courtroom listened in silence. You could hear the hum of the air vents, the rustle of papers, even the quiet breaths of people hanging on every word. When the defense tried to trip her up, Monica didn't budge. Are you suggesting these two officers acted entirely outside the law on their own? I'm saying they made a choice to ignore protocol, a choice to follow their bias instead of their training. And in doing that, they endangered lives, compromised investigations, and violated my rights as both a citizen and a federal agent. Rick looked down at his hands. Dale stared blankly ahead. After 2 hours on the stand, Monica stepped down and returned to her seat beside Jalen. He gave her a subtle nod. The rest of the day moved like a freight train: witnesses, recordings, video footage, seized documents. The jury saw it all. By the end of the trial, it wasn't a question of if they were guilty. It was just how long they'd be in prison. A week later, the judge delivered the verdict. Dale and Rick were convicted on multiple counts: unlawful arrest, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and aiding a federal arms trafficker. They were sentenced to 18 and 22 years, respectively. Cole Weller got 35 years without parole. Several others, including Jeff Colson and Red Darnell, were also convicted. The entire trafficking ring had been dismantled, root and stem. Monica walked out of the courthouse and into the bright Louisiana sun, a small smile breaking through her normally hard exterior. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted her name, but she didn't stop for interviews. Not yet. 3 weeks later, Monica returned to Pine Ridge not as an agent chasing a case, but as a visitor. The town felt different now. There were fresh faces in uniform, more patrols on foot, and a new sheriff sworn in, an honest one. Joni's diner, where it all began, was busier than she remembered. Locals greeted her with nods, handshakes, and quiet thank yous. She ordered coffee and sat by the window. Not long after, Jalen walked in and joined her. They're rebuilding, he said. Towns like this don't stay broken forever. Only if people hold others accountable, Monica replied. He sipped his drink and smiled. So, what now? You going back to D.C.? I don't know yet, she said. I thought I came here for a break. But maybe this place needed me more than I needed rest. Jalen nodded slowly. We did good work. We exposed what they were hiding, she said. That's something. Funny how it started, huh? He said with a small grin. Just a simple water run. Monica chuckled, finally letting the memory roll through her without anger. Yeah, one wrong turn and it changed everything. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching people walk by, the town living, breathing, healing. Then Jalen leaned in. You ever think about taking leadership? He asked. Teaching others, training? She looked at him, surprised. I mean it. We need agents like you to stay in this fight. People who know how real justice works, not just what's written in the manual. She considered it. Maybe she didn't need to be in the middle of the action anymore. Maybe guiding others, mentoring them, was the next chapter. There were younger agents, rookies, new faces, like that young deputy at the sheriff's office, who still typed like he was afraid to hit the wrong key. They needed someone to show them how to lead with integrity, not power. I'll think about it, she said finally. Jalen smirked. I already put your name in. Monica laughed. Of course you did. They stood, finished their coffee, and stepped out into the morning sun. As they walked down Main Street, the people they passed didn't just nod, they smiled. Genuine smiles, and Monica knew something had shifted, not just in the town, but in herself. She wasn't just an agent anymore. She was a reminder that no badge puts anyone above the law, and that standing your ground, even when everything feels against you, matters. That truth matters. That justice, real justice, is worth fighting for, even in the smallest towns on the quietest days. Even when it starts with something as simple as buying a bottle of water. If you liked this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, to strengthen our community, let us know in the comments where you are watching from and what time you are currently watching this video.